Hello everybody, and how are we doing on this fine day? I figured come on here in the new year and draw a picture for everybody. That's what I do here on the channel, so my allergies have been fucking with me all year. Get it? Just playing with you. So I figured we'd do a little rough draft first of something, so I kind of have this idea for a couple people like running from some kind of creature. On the foreground, we will have a person here kind of hanging on to the wall, shooing off his buddies. Don't come this way, don't come this way. Kind of hiding behind this wall here. And some more people like, what are you talking about? What's going on? What's over there? Oh my god, let me look. And then we'll have a big gnarly ass creature with a huge, ridiculous mouth looking for him, with sharp teeth and exoskeletons. And in true 50s form, we'll have tentacles hanging off of it. Maybe we'll have somebody in here screaming, ah, no, don't leave me. And he's like, quiet, quiet. Yeah, and then we'll have some background, maybe some weird trees in the background there. And that's gonna be our thing. People in the foreground, some kind of like obstruction here, like a rock or something. Rock. People, large beast, background, you know, clouds and stuff. Alright. Let's get moving. I'll try to keep the snorting to a minimum, but like I said, allergies are fucking with me. I thought only allergies fucked with you only like around spring, but mine just fucked with me. It's like I turned 40 and they started fucking with me all day, every day. So, anyway, let's get moving on this. So, okay, I got the right size. Keep our little guy right here for a second. All right. So it's 2026. I don't know if this year is going to be any different. It'd be nice. It would be nice if it was, but I just want to see, you know, I've always just wanted to see everybody get along. At the same time, though, I'm so sick of certain people. You know, everybody's just, everybody's always in a fucking trance, it seems like. Everybody's radicalized these days. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. And it's like, when people are radicalized, they don't hear other people, you know. They don't hear what you're saying. They don't hear your side of the story. And when people lose the ability to communicate, then it doesn't really matter what's going on, because nobody will listen, you know. So that's scary. When people stop communicating, it can get very scary. So we got our guy right there. I'm gonna make it look like he's kind of peeking behind this thing. You know, this boulder or whatever the fuck right here. Hope everybody had a good New Year's Eve. I'm in my 40s, so I didn't do a fucking thing. That's the way I like it. I worked in bars for years, so I have so I'm good. I don't need to go out anymore. That kind of shit just doesn't appeal to me anymore. Okay. So we'll get somebody sitting here like, oh, what do you mean? Is there a monster right over there? Oh no. No, not a monster. And he's like, oh god. I thought the monsters were all gone. Okay, I'll be quiet. So anyway, I hope everybody had a good time. I hope they went out and had fun and were responsible. You know, I hate to see people, you know, getting hurt. So I just hope everybody went out and had a good time, that's all. A lot of stupid shit happens on New Year's, you know, a lot of accidents, a lot of, you know, a lot of stuff. So I do it like this, kind of just quickly sketching almost with a pen, and then I kind of clean up the lines a little bit later, most of the time. So how big do we want our beast to be? We'll come out of this side. That's how big our beast is going to be. We want a big mouth, and we want like tentacles coming off of them, so make these tentacles kind of like that. Yeah, bartending for years, man. You know, that was the one time a year you could stay open till 4 in the morning if you want. Here in Michigan, you can only stay open till 2 in the morning. So it was always kind of, as a bartender, it was an easy way to, you know, make a few extra bucks that day. You know, and it was up to you if you wanted to stay open for that much time, you know. It was up to you guys. And a lot of times I did stay open. But a lot of times I was like, fuck this, you know, I made enough money. Especially in the last several years that I bartended. I stopped bartending a few years ago. When I got custody of my kid, I started eliminating stress and risk. And there was nothing more risky and stressful than bartending. And you might ask yourself, how is it risky? Well, when some dumbass gets drunk and goes and crashes something, then you'll see how risky it is. And it is risky, and you gotta be careful. And it's very easy for people, like where I'm at in the world, snowmobiling is really big. And it's real easy to, you know, especially these snowmobilers, a lot of them are up here to party. That's exactly what they're here for. You'd think they're here to snowmobile, but they're literally here to snowmobile from bar to bar to bar to bar to bar, and cheat on their wives and all that kind of shit. And that's what they do. So, you know, a lot of times these snowmobilers are on coke or pills, or they got a flask in their pocket. You know, they're here to party, and nobody ever thinks it's going to happen to them. And some snowmobiler will drink and get kicked out of the bar because they're too drunk. And next thing you know, they're fucking suing you after they've crashed into something. So it's no good. So we got a mouth here. Big, huge fucking demon mouth. So yeah, you know, I got out of that business. And I was just getting tired of it. And you do something for, Christ, 20-something years. It gets old. You know, I know the drawing looks fucking like a kid's drawing right now. But don't worry. Don't you worry. We will get it good. But yeah, so I got out of that business. But yeah, there's a lot of money to be made in that business if you're willing to stick it out, you know. Like, I stuck it out for a long time and I made a lot of money. Nothing crazy, not like change your life money, but pretty good money. But yeah, it got old. Got old. So did I. You know, I got in my 40s and I was just like, oh, fuck this. I don't want to be here all day anymore. So I got out of that shit. And, but yeah, I recommend it for any young, you know, you're in your 20s or something, and you're looking for a way to make some money, have a cool job. It can be very fun. But you just gotta walk that fine line between being cool and getting charged with involuntary manslaughter. So, other than that, I've been a lot happier getting out of the bartending gig. You know, it opened up my job for younger people to take over and get into the business. So it's good. It's a good thing. I miss the money. You know, it's funny. When you ask any bartender what they miss after they've quit, they always say the money. And it's true. The money is what I miss. People are okay, but at the same time, drunk people can be the worst people. So, you just gotta watch it. I go back on the 4th of July and visit, say hi and all that. I don't really like drinking anymore. I'm not a big fan of drinking. Nothing against it, just, you know, I don't care for it. First thing that goes is your judgment when you're drinking. That's another reason I don't believe in getting married, even though you might see that. That's an old mistake. You know, I've never seen more cheating in my life than when I was bartending. Never saw more women trying to take me home when their husbands were out and about. I never saw more of that shit than I did when I was bartending, you know? And it really soured my opinion to getting married. I feel like if there's these women that have been happily married for, 20 years, and they're in here trying to take me home when their husband's out of town, it just makes you not really, it just sours it, Yeah, it just sours it. That's all. Nothing against it. If you can make it work, by all means. But, and especially these days, I feel like people just throw away their marriage, people, the commitment thing isn't there anymore. I feel like people just will divorce over a disagreement about a TV show, So that said, it's like, gotta be careful. Gotta be careful of the kind of stuff, the kind of people you associate with, Gotta be careful. Alright, so we're kind of cleaning up the lines a little bit, thickening them up. And that way, that's just my kind of process to it. Sketch it out first and clean it up later. But yeah, bartending. Don't miss it. Don't miss it. I don't think I ever will. Had a lot of fun though. A lot of fun over the years, especially when I was younger. As a young guy, I got my first gig bartending when I was 20. I was going to turn 21 in a few months. And I was nervous, I'd never done it. And I didn't know how to deal with people, That's another thing bartending taught me how to do as a young man, with not a whole lot of self-confidence yet in the world and my abilities. Bartending taught me how to assert myself. It taught me how to kind of roll with the punches too, when it came to, people fucking with you, that kind of thing. And it was good. And a fun time, I learned, like I said, I learned how to be assertive and how to hold my own, I had a couple bar fights that I had to deal with, It was fun. But, like I said, once you get older and you start, you start thinking about the possibilities of what could happen if somebody, drinks and drives and crashes or something, then it starts not being as fun anymore. So, now I know a lot of people will say, well, it's your job to cut them off too, and it's like, yeah, that's true. If you've worked at a regular bar ever, then you know how that's easier said than done. Regular bars kind of pride themselves on their, not like the rest, not like the authorities, I guess. Regulars expect to be treated different. They do. I don't care what anybody says. They do expect to be treated different. And they want to be treated different compared to everybody else. And cutting them off because they've had 2 drinks and they're technically drunk isn't a good way to get on their good side. So you either quit with your good name, or you become that Nazi bartender who cuts everybody off after their first drink, you know? Because technically that's what you're supposed to do. You know, technically nobody's allowed to be drunk at a bar. I know it seems kind of counter, you know, intuitive, but yeah, no one's allowed to be drunk at the bar. And I'm not saying you gotta serve people till they're falling on their face, but some people, you know, they want to get drunk. That's what they're doing there. And by that, you know, it's like, what do you do then? You know, the establishment wants to make money. That's what they're there to do. So I don't know. It's a weird thing to gauge. You know, who's gonna be, you know, drunk idiot. I don't know. Just maintaining all of it can be a lot sometimes. Maintaining the party, you know, and if you're in a bad mood, it's going to affect everything. So it can be a lot, being the life of the party, literally. And then as a male bartender, I never made as much money. You know, people would come in there and say, oh, you're the best bartender they have, you're so fast and you're so smooth about stuff. But, you know, my tits weren't big enough, so those same people would come in when the dits that they were talking shit about all day was working, and she would make 3 times the money, even though they were complaining about her the whole time. Oh, she's fucking slow, she can't, you know, never gives me a freebie when I'm here spending money all day like you do. But they'd always tip the shit out of her, even though I had a kid, and, you know, I was better apparently. Because, like I said, my tits weren't big enough, so that was, and they would just flat out say that. Well, your tits aren't that great, Avery, so